All righty, guys and gals, this is Blake Morrow. You are listening to the Morning Edge webinar. I hope everybody's having a great trading session. We were just spending the time on Face talking about, watch this Euro Yen's ripping higher right now, by the way. Just bouncing back. I would look for a failure in the Euro Yen above 132, just FYI. I was looking at it just a minute ago. Remember, these are, this trend line right here. This could end up being, this is a wedge. This could end up looking like, excuse me, guys, something like that. Sorry. So just, I would look for a failure above 132 if we can get it. Matter of fact, I'm going to put in a little alarm right about here. See if I can sell some a little bit later. We were looking at Bitcoin on the F.A.C.E webinar. I might as well get this out for the bias chart. Bitcoin traded below, or is trading below 30,000. I don't know. Well, we're going to have to see if it's sustainable here. Ethereum, I feel, is going to be the leader. And because, like I said on the webinar, I believe Ethereum, or no, I didn't say this on the webinar. Did I say this in the webinar? I know I said it in our chat room. But I also said it in our analysis too. If you guys are not in the chat room and you just read the analysis right here, Ethereum, Ethereum breaks the 1750 level, and this could kickstart a move lower in the crypto space. And the reason why I said that is because there are so many people that have been arguing that, Ethereum is the better, cryptocurrency. It's going to be the more, desirable one. It's going to, for payment systems and blah, 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 the whole argument, you guys can, go through the whole argument. But the reason why I say that is because Ethereum, I think there's been a lot of money moving into Ethereum. And the thing is if it starts breaking down, that could really, in my opinion, kickstart a move lower in the crypto space, because so much money has moved into Ethereum as of late over the last several months. That's been a big argument, Sorry, just getting some of my coffee. That's been a big argument, and that's why I think if Ethereum really starts to break down, then you got to watch Bitcoin. So we're going to mark today's lows. Comes in at 28,500 in Bitcoin. It's amazing, man. This could really 28,600. I'm sorry, that's going to be support right now. To get Bitcoin out of the woods, you can see this alarm right here. It's all previous support that has to breach. So let's just call it roughly 35,000. While we're below there, we just got to continue to focus on, a bearish move in Bitcoin. Okay. Like I said, the risk is it starts bleeding over into the other asset classes. We've seen the NASDAQ come off of its highs this morning. We're not, bearish by any stretch of the means yet, but the S&P, for all intents and purposes, is starting to struggle here. We had made another brief new high here, but intraday relative strength, we're still off of, we're still really divergent overall. I'm going to take this and say that is a 40, that's a 78% retracement. So that's going to be at 42.40. So I'm going to write that down. I'm frankly, I am so surprised that we rallied I shouldn't be, right? That's kind of silly for me to say. I'm just surprised we rallied back as much as we've rallied back. I really am, right? So I think we should stay below that 78% retracement personally. But a break below or a break above there should target the highs, which is, 42.65. So I'll write that down. Okay. And then, but I think coming out of this wedge, we have to be bearish. you know, and I think that this is a great opportunity to be on the short side. And I'm short. I'm not short the S&P. I just had to put this out on the pattern and play. I'm short risk. I'm short risk buying dollar MEX, dollar CAD, you know, some of the euro crosses, euro Norway or dollar Norway. I'm long. So, you know, I'm trading short risk a different way. But see, trading news. This is going along with my conversation right here. I just retweeted it. Trading news, by the way, that Twitter handle that I just retweeted a second ago. He's from Gelos, and he tweets good stuff. Bitcoin's up 2.7% on the year. ETH is up about 140%. Right. And so that's the point I'm trying to make about Ethereum. If Ethereum really breaks down, I think it's going to pull the rest of the crypto space lower. Right. So anyway, just something to think about. Okay, support in the S&P. We'll just have to mark up these lows here. It's 41.40. I know I shouldn't put bearish because we're just right off of our highs, but the only reason why I'm not going to put bearish is just because we have bounced back so aggressively yesterday. I do think it's eventually going to play out to the downside, though. I do. Okay. Let's take a look at currencies. So the euro, we could set up an inverted head and shoulder pattern here. It's possible, but this is the previous 618. So I think this is going to be important resistance now. Okay. And yeah, it could be an inverted head and shoulder pattern. Sure. So 119.30. Supports 118.50. I think we flipped it to range yesterday, but I think we're going to have to keep it in bearish. God, I'm not comfortable doing that. We're going to have to keep it in range for now. Aussie's bearish, but different story. Sterling. It's trading heavy. I have all sorts of orders at 140 to sell the cable. I just don't know if it's going to get there now. I'm very doubtful that it gets there. Let's just put it that way. So, I mean, I'm going to have to mark up 139.40 now as resistance. Support, horizontal support. So that means this 138 is support now. And I'll write down 140. I just don't think we're going to get there. And like I said, I have an order. I need to just cancel that order, but I have an order that's out that, you know, I left out overnight. Aussie. I think the Aussie is bearish, and we're consolidating exactly where we need to consolidate to be a bearish trend. We have to stay below 75, and I think while we stay below that, the risk is that we press below 74.70. And this is bearish. Remember, we came out of a triangle, so it is bearish. Gorkum, hello, good morning. Kiwi, 38% retracement comes in at 70.15. Is that the same number that I wrote down yesterday? I'm not 100% sure. 70.15. Yep. 38% retracement. It does remain bearish. I know we're bouncing right now, but support. Was that a false breakdown? Maybe, but I'm going to write down 69.25. Okay. Futures are a little heavy right now. Dollar Canadian. Dollar Canadian holding where it needs to. You can see that previous high right there is 123.50. It held right there. I mean, how many people shorted the how many people shorted dollar Canadian, you know, thinking, man, there's so much downside left here. We're going to at least make it back down to 122.60. And that right now they're going, I don't know if I really want to be short. I think resistance is at 125. What did I write down yesterday? 124.20, 125. Oh, because that would be the previous support here. I'm just going to keep it at 125. Swissy. 91.60. 92.40. I'm not going to flip it to bullish. Oops. I'm not going to flip it to bullish because like the euro dollar, I believe that we're kind of range bound here. The problem that the Swissy might have is in the event that yields move lower, you know, it's obviously going to have a negative effect on the Swissy. So US dollar, Norwegian krona holding 855. See it right there. And I think the risk is that that we start, you know, trading back up towards this 872 level. I am going to put it as bullish because I think yesterday we had it at range. Nope, we had it in bullish. Because remember, we came out of the wedge, right? So I mean, the US dollar Norwegian krona, in my opinion, looks like it's going back up here to 9. Ultimately, the US dollar Norwegian krona is going to be a great short, but for right now, it looks like it's, you know, it's a decent long. US dollar Mexican peso. You guys prior for the FACE webinar, you see what you knew what my my bullish argument was. I think any dip back down to 2035 just has to be bought. I just don't know if we're going to make it down there. Resistance 2074. And I think we have to imagine that we break out. If we break out, the 618 comes in here at 2085, just in case. Okay. Dollar yen playing inside of this channel. Support is at 109.60. Resistance 111.30. Just play it inside this range. Dollar index major resistance at 92.70. That's really key. Support 91.40. I bet anybody who's bearish is like, would just love to be out at that price. I'm just questioning if we get down there, because I think there's a lot of people trying to sell dollars right now, and they're finding that trade right up in their, right up in their face. So this is 91.40. Gold is trading heavy as well. 1800 is resistance. We could write down 1805, but I still think that 1800 is going to be resistance. And if we break through 1760, you're going to see more liquidations. I think that gold acts really, really horrible. Silver is trading heavy as well. So if we take out these lows, that spike low at 25, I'm just going to write down 25.50. If we break 25.50, just like gold, I think silver is going to come under a lot of pressure. I think a lot of people have been playing the poor man's gold for a while, thinking it's going to play a little catch up. You got a lot of people, looking at the silver gold, ratio. So yeah, I mean, while we're below 26.50, I think you got to continue to focus on the downside here with both of those. I'm not going to flip them bearish, but I think that you have to treat them as more sell rallies versus anything else. All right, Steve, Stelios, the bias chart is done. I don't know if Stelios is back in
I'm here. I've done it. I've pasted it already. Come on.
Joe. Well, excuse me, Mr. World Traveler. What's happening? Steve, what's going on?
Alles gut.
Good. I'm going to drink my coffee. How's it going? What are you guys doing?
We're on a webinar.
Yeah.
So Steve writes me in the middle of the night just to confirm that my family is getting crushed in cryptocurrency. So it's always nice to wake up in the morning. He's like, just want to make sure that your family still thinks cryptocurrency. It's like Steve needed to be right, so he had to make sure that my family's getting destroyed in cryptocurrency, which is
actually
awesome.
In this case you are the one that was right.
Believe me, I've told him, I've tried to steer him away. But
I know, that's why I said you're the one that was right. It's your family.
Anyway, so I'm going to let you guys take over. I'm going to go enjoy my coffee for a second and watch the open. So you guys have a good night or
Thank
a good day, excuse me.
Yeah, good night. Bye-bye.
Right.
Go to sleep.
You guys later.
See you tomorrow. Bye.
I'm going to go to sleep. Bye, guys.
Oh, man. See ya. All right. So, markets, it's all about cryptos at the moment, and like we said on FaceE, you have now institutional players like Melvin Capital who apparently have big losses. We don't know how big they are, and that's going to take other markets with them, because cryptos is not the only position they have, so they're going to be liquidating. They're going to be doing whatever they need to do to stay afloat, which I doubt they will, but anyway. So we're getting a little bit of pressure everywhere, which I think is kind of led by cryptos, and obviously it's also a continuation of last week's post-Fed move. We did have a pretty strong rally yesterday, which I didn't expect, but anyway, it is what it is.
Yeah, I expected the reaction in the dollar and equities, to work off the very short-term, overbought and oversold conditions, depends on which asset you were looking for. But to be honest, I was also surprised by the magnitude of the move in equities, I mean.
Yes. What do we have? Data, we had nothing, very little things. Actually, we have existing home sales in 40 minutes, but whatever.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be a market mover.
Yeah, and oil was also rallying early this morning, but then then OPEC said that basically they're going to be increasing supply. So this is something that they always do. They always do, right? When oil drops a lot, they cut supply.
Speaking of which, we did have a massive update again yesterday and a new high in crude.
Yes.
So, and despite, announcements and, all that, so far we're like 0.5% lower on the day, which is nothing. It's a blip. It's a spit in the ocean, right?
Yes.
So for the time being, crude oil stubbornly remains extremely well bid. We are now closer and closer to the to my last target I had set once we broke through this triangle, which is the 74.63 area. And as I said before, obviously you can't fade this trend without any real technical signal that something is changing. But on the other hand, this is not the place to be buying anymore if you have no exposure.
It is. You're absolutely right, and it is amazing how you called this level pretty much where it came to, and it was a long way away, and people would have said, "Man, that's just not going to happen." And look where we are.
It
it's
happened,
incredible.
and I think we're going to 100 as well, but not from here. We definitely need to have a proper corrective move lower sooner rather than later, so people can be free to rejoin the uptrend from that point on. So crude oil, undisputed bull trend, but don't chase it. Don't chase it.
Yes. What else is there to say? We talked about metals, we talked about everything. I mean, for me, I'm still looking at yields, and yields are not okay. We're at 150 in 10-year US. Unless yields move higher, then I don't think any move lower is going to be sustainable. Let's say.
I think yields will move higher. I mean, I'm still monitoring this channel.
Yes.
Look, we're holding up like a boss, and this. The more we stay here, the more it's obvious to me that this is some type of correction over time rather in price. So I do expect the markets to push yields higher sooner rather than later. Now, how soon? I'm going to go back to, what was it, the 13th of May, last time we drew up on this chart, and I haven't touched the drawing since then. I said we might break up today. We might spend more time consolidating in the same range, right? And, moving forward 5-6 weeks, I'm going to tell you the exact same thing. We might break higher imminently, or the market might decide to consolidate further in time. There is absolutely no way to know that, right? I do think that this 140 area, though, is a very nice confluence of supports as we speak. So you should definitely respect it. I would not be short yields so close to this area and against this support. I can tell you that much.
I agree. I also think that they're going higher, but I'm just saying until they do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The 30-year had actually a very nice exaggerated move lower at the end of last week. Look at Thursday and Friday, how the 30-year yield got demolished. But also look at the reaction from this confluence of supports, this horizontal support area and the 200 daily moving average immediately propelled it back. So yesterday we completely erased Friday's losses, and so far we've also erased half of Thursday's losses. Perhaps this might have been a false breakdown. It's worth paying attention to it.
Yes. By the way, our friend Michael is saying when cryptos were going up, some people said that money from gold is going to crypto. It does not seem to be the same in reverse. And you've been saying that you don't think that the majority of people who choose to invest in Bitcoin, in gold, are ever going to invest in Bitcoin and vice versa. So
Exactly.
I think I kind of tend to agree with you.
I remember I used the terminology, somebody has to be bipolar, and some people got offended, like,
Yeah.
which of course I can understand why people get offended with making analogies, right? It has
Yeah.
nothing to do with
Yeah.
mental disorders or whatever, clearly.
Yeah.
But I do believe that somebody that thinks that Bitcoin is the same type of destination for your money as gold, they really have confused how markets work.
Yes. And look, here's proof. We're seeing Bitcoin crash and metals are not going higher.
I
They're
mean,
also going
gold is
lower.
like 7% lower, and Bitcoin is 50% lower. Yeah, guess which of the two works as a store of value?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, even if you make the argument that more frequently than not recently they've been moving rather in the same, at least, direction. Yeah, but magnitude of the move, the beta, is like probably the most important element for having a store of value, right? You can't have like a super high beta thing and say this is store of value. How the hell can it be?
Yeah.
I mean, when it's moving higher, you're going to make a lot of money. When it's moving lower, you're going to lose tons and tons of money. How exactly is that a store of value?
Yeah.
In any case, good segue for the metals. I have to say that the last 3 days of price action, for example, here in silver, yeah, don't look
It's not
good.
looking very good, no.
Yeah. We have stalled, and in my opinion, not coincidental, in this confluence of supports we talked about the other day. It's the 61.8% fib and 200 daily moving average. But looking at this type of price action, I just think that it's a short-term consolidation. Having found these supports, not seeing a big reaction from this makes me believe that there's more downside to go. And as I've said, we are still trading within a larger symmetrical triangle. Uh, Everything is possible within the context of this. And support is currently passing from $23. So I wouldn't even be surprised to see a move close to that area. And I wouldn't even blink. I wouldn't even consider changing my bias at all, having to do with the medium to long term prospects of silver. But admittedly, short term, yeah, you shouldn't be buying as we speak for a short term trade. It looks very, very heavy. Gold, almost the same, looks a little bit better, but still heavy. Some type of a consolidation going on here at the 61.8 as well. That's why I think, as we drew yesterday, that there is more downside coming in gold as well before we can finally stabilize and move to new highs, because I do believe we're eventually moving to new highs. Platinum, same deal. Palladium, look at Palladium back testing the broken channel trendline support. I think there is probably, we drew this yesterday, that we might see a little bit of a rebound. I said we might not even get there, but we might, extend towards 27,000 before we see more weakness. Here is copper. Now that we've broken through this channel, I think probably the same thing. We might see a little bit of a rebound, but copper should deflate even more. And, I mean, it's a very healthy move. We've been moving non-stop higher for 14 months. Yes, at some point there should have been, some proper corrective move, and, we're likely seeing one unfold as we speak. So nothing has changed there as well. As we said before, the only big technical changes today is more or less the confirmation of Bitcoin breaking down, because Ethereum had broken down in advance a few days earlier. And in my opinion, as I said before, this opens the door for 24,000. It's an interesting area of support. Somebody can say 27,000 as well. It's like 61.8% fib. 20,000 then should be a super important level for multiple reasons. From an elite wave perspective, it's equality of wave 5 to wave 1. It's the previous all-time high after the first mania dried down. It's previous resistance area in multiple occasions. I mean, several reasons to look for 20,000. It's also a major psychological level, right? A rounded number with all the implications. And as I said before, I've seen how how vicious the market is. And this MicroStrategy situation with this guy that is clearly a clueless investor, right? Michael Saylor, he might be a lot of things. He was smart enough to ride the wave early on. Unfortunately, as many lucky gamblers, he lacked the most important element, which is to know when to leave the table with your profits along and be, king of the jungle. I'm afraid everybody knows the pain pressure point, 26,000. Being so many years in the market, I find it so much unlikely for the market not to put the pressure on that level. So I really believe the chances to go through 26,000 are extremely high, extremely high. And I do think that eventually MicroStrategy and Michael Saylor are going to have a very bad ending, even if Bitcoin eventually ends up being at 100,000 or whatever. But as I was writing to a good friend of mine a few hours ago, this whole situation, these people, and by these people I mean him. How's the other ARC lady called, Stelio?
Cathie Wood.
Yeah, Cathie Wood,
Yeah.
and in some extent for some common but some different reasons as well, Elon Musk. I think they remind me of Greek tragedies. The three keywords for that is hybris. I think in English you call it hubris,
Yeah.
hubris, yes, nemesis, and oh wait, actually, and catharsis. Yeah, sorry, I just noticed that somebody sent me a message. Okay, and catharsis. So something tells me we're gonna see ancient Greek tragedy unfold in these cases, especially with Cathie Woods and Michael Saylor. I'm pretty convinced about it.
Yeah.
When cryptos were going up, some people used to say that money from yeah. Okay, so next downside target for Bitcoin 61.8 at 27,200, and next downside target for Ethereum. Actually, Ethereum is, as we speak, is testing the spike low that we had in May. Next downside target, most likely 1,400, and I think we're going there. By the way, speaking of Ethereum, let's fib extend this leg lower. The projection is 233. That would be fun. That would be fun. Not as unlikely as many would think. Anyhow, 1400, the next downside level in this case. 24K fills the previous gap. I'm assuming you're referring to Bitcoin. Let's have a look at it. When was that gap created? I'm asking out of curiosity. Probably you're looking at futures, right? Because the cryptocurrency market doesn't really have gaps because it's a 24/7 type of market. So I'm assuming you're looking at another instrument, right? Yeah, CME. Okay, makes sense. Yeah, okay, I believe you. Anyhow, 24,000 is a very, very good target due to being previous resistance as well. So yeah, keep looking lower. Now, in comparison to what we said yesterday, I don't think much more can be said about like majors. From what I heard, Blake hasn't changed his mind in anything. Me neither. I mean, I'm also looking probably for this dollar move to extend even further. Now, despite having, you know, a big reversal yesterday, I think nothing changes. I think it's a reaction from the market that will be overcome soon. Admittedly, it looks even more important in equities, because equities actually didn't, with the exception of Friday's price action, equities hadn't really reacted that much recently, right? So S&P held, and that was important yesterday, because yesterday, if it was a negative day, we would have broken through this key trend line support. But oppositely from that, we saw a very, very big reaction higher from it, which means that for the time being, there is no technical signal to be short equities. But as I said before, I fail to see how further dollar strength is not going to translate to some equity weakness, even if it's not one-to-one type of reaction. So I would be very, very careful here with equities. I would definitely not be buying, following the reaction we had last week, right? Okay. I think that's it more or less. So any questions? 2.5 steepener time came, I think. Yeah, listen. In general, yields should have been a lot higher, and if they're left alone to act as a market, they will definitely climb a lot higher. And I agree, we should see the curve steepen significantly. So we both have artificially low yields and artificially horizontal curve in the in yields, right? I mean, it makes no sense. The fact that short-term rates are so close to 30-year rates makes no sense, especially with all the inflation we have, the amazing pace with which we're seeing debt piling up. I mean, none of that makes sense, because all of that, in essence, should have put a lot more premium in longer term yields than even in the past, right? But it's one thing what should fundamentally be the case, and we all know the answer to that, and another thing of what is really happening. And unfortunately, making easy predictions is not that straightforward, because we know very, very well that these are the markets that are more heavily manipulated, because the Fed outright goes and buys, is actually the major buyer of treasuries, right? And they're going to twist again when they need to. They're going to be focusing their buying at whichever maturity they think needs to be supported even more, so on and so forth. So good luck. Good luck predicting what's going to happen, because unfortunately, fundamentals seem to matter a lot less than they should. mRNA.
Great. Yeah, Moderna.
Yeah. Yeah, Moderna breaking through the flag. That's a bullish development, right? As simple as that. Yeah, flag, pennant, you pick your poison. There it is. Doesn't really matter. Trend line resistance remains the same. Of course, now that we have this support, if you want to be more conservative, what you should do is rearrange the flag like this, right? Now that we have the previous low, and give it a little bit more space, right there. So, give it a little bit more space. We're currently testing flags resistance. We break above it. It's a bullish development, which I think it makes sense. The previous move higher was rather impulsive in nature, and you should look higher. How much higher? The easiest method here would be to fib extend this last move higher from the lows, which projects 274. There you go. SEDG. Yeah, this one seems to be breaking out also. I think we've drawn this channel, especially having to do with resistances, as good as possible. We've taken into account 3 of the 4 highs. You know, you want to be a little bit more conservative. Look at the 200 daily moving average at 270 as well, so give it a little bit more space for the 200 DMA. Above that, I think you should look higher, right? Yeah, I think that's the best technical approach to it at the moment. So there you go. Crypto tend to be older generation, i.e. over 35. Small proportion of retail have PMs, and crypto tend to be older. Yep. 24, but okay. I think we more or less covered everything. I think, yes. Last chance. Any leftover questions, guys, gals? Okay, Stella.
All right,
Okay.
guys.
See
Thank
you
you,
all
Steve.
tomorrow.
All
Bye-bye.
right. Bye-bye.